Hello, Jake here, and welcome to another video on my channel. This is very different from the usual dash cam trip and bad driver videos I usually post. So I'm going to be talking about the major construction projects going on in Michigan over this Memorial Day and over the summer, so you can have it on your radar, especially since there'll probably be more driving this year instead of flying. This will not be a comprehensive list, but this will cover like all the major construction areas in Michigan this summer. And before we get started, I just want to give a little PSA. According to the Michigan State Police themselves, so like don't shoot the messenger here, when there's heavy traffic in a construction zone and you're coming up on a lane closure, you're supposed to zipper merge and not merge over and cause a 5 mile long traffic jam. Yeah, I'm merely spreading the word. You'll take it up with the Michigan State Police if you have any issues. The first construction zone I want to talk about is I-94 in around Benton Harbor and St. Joseph. And you see here like there's like some lane closures and some like bridge and ramp closures, so you're gonna want to be mindful about that. Like this is a project that's been going on for a couple years, so just keep in mind that this is still going on this summer. You can see like here like with the lane closures and whatnot. And I'll leave a link to this map in the description. It's the official MDOT construction map. So I'll leave a link to that for anyone who wants to check it out and learn more about these. As you can see here, like this is the 3 year project to rebuild I-94 in this area. And this is part of the larger Rebuilding Michigan project. You can see a lot of the different construction zones that are part of this Rebuilding Michigan project that's been going on for the last several years. The next one I'm going to talk about is US 131 in Kalamazoo. There's some freeway work going on through here. And then they're also going to be fixing the interchange here with Business 131 so that northbound traffic can access Business 131 and instead of it being southbound only. So if you live around Kalamazoo, that might be nice for you. And next up, this one's probably more minor, but there is still like the US 131 construction going on in like south of M6 here. So the Gen just something to kind of be mindful of that construction is not quite finished yet. And this is also part of Rebuilding Michigan and the US 131. And it has like its own project page here. And I'll leave a link to the where you can see all these different projects going on too. I'll have that linked in the description too for you guys. So Grand Rapids also has some more going on. We got the interchange here with US 131 and I-96. They're doing some work on the ramps and US 131 here. So, with it being downtown Grand Rapids, you might want to try and avoid it if at all possible. Although I don't know how many alternate routes you can really take around there. And then we're not done yet in Grand Rapids because we also got M37 over here by Kentwood. There's going to be some road closures and lane closures and just a lot of construction in general. So you're going to want to probably try to avoid that if at all possible. Maybe take some of these like surface streets to kind of get around there, or like go over by like the airport perhaps. And this M37 project, it also has its own page here showing like details about that. So you can look more into that too if you want to. And next up, we got I-96 over here in Ionia County. You can see that there's like some closures with the lane shifts and ramp closures and whatnot. So, and I-96 is pretty heavily trafficked, so this will be something you want to have on your radar if you have to do the Lansing to Grand Rapids drive or vice versa. And then this project also does have a page here where you can look at more information about it. And moving over to Lansing, or a bit of construction, but the only major one here that's like worth talking about in this video is the construction on US 127 slash 490 I-496. And this one, yeah, you're definitely gonna want to try to avoid it. Even like they're currently working on the southbound, I'm pretty sure, but there is still some work to be done on the northbound as well. So you can see like all the orange is lane closures, red is road closures. You can just see that like this whole corridor is basically something you're gonna want to try and get around if you have to commute around through here or drive around through here. This one also has its own page too you can look at and get more information on it. And for the last few years, they've been rebuilding all of the freeways around the Lansing area except for I-69 because you gotta make sure your capital city's looking good. And then next up, we got I-96 again. I-96, got all the construction over by Howell and Brighton. So like, it's part of like some, interchange work and bridge work here. Bridge over the Grand River has its own page, although I'm pretty sure it's part of a larger project to rebuild this kind of whole area through Howell and Brighton. So that'll also be something you want to have on your radar if you have to drive around like through here at all, from like the Lansing to Detroit driver in Lansing Ann Arbor or whatever. Then next up, we move down to Detroit. And this one, I don't know how much effect it will really have on I-75 itself, but I did want to talk about it because it is a pretty big deal. And that is that the Gordie Howe Bridge is scheduled to be completed this fall. And after that's built, there'll be a direct connection between I-75 and the 401. So that'll be really great for transit in the region. And like then it'll give another crossing for the Detroit area. So have like the Ambassador Bridge, the Detroit Windsor Tunnel, and soon the Gordie Howe Bridge. They might see some construction on I-75 while they finish that up. I don't know how much it'll really affect I-75 itself. And this one has its own page here too that you can take a look at. Then sticking around in Detroit, we got a couple here that everyone's talking about. First up is the M14 work that's going on here. M14, like it's mainly M14 being worked on. You can see some work for I-275, but all that's just like shoulder work. Like the I-275 project is in the final stages, so it's not really worth talking about in this video. But just know that like your trip on I-275 itself should be fine. All the work, all the major work is on M14 as they work on the interchange and rebuild some of the roadway here. So you'll definitely want to try to avoid M14 here if you can help it. But I-275 should be fine for your drives. And this one does not have its page. You have to like look up some like news reports or something to get more information there. And next up, this is the one that everyone's talking about. And I don't entirely know why they thought this was a good idea. And that is that all the work with I-696, this is probably one of the most significant projects that's been going on in Michigan the last few years, as they've been working to rebuild, the eastern portion of I-696. And this is part of the Restore the Ruther project. And they claim, I saw a news report a couple days ago, and they claim that they won't need to touch I-696 for decades after this is completed. And I have doubts. But, I'm not a civil engineer or a material scientist or whatever, so, I'll just, take their word for it, I guess. But I have doubts about that claim. So yeah, like westbound is open, but there will be a lot of work, so it won't be you can take it, but it won't really be very pleasant. And then eastbound is completely closed until 2027. So you'll have to take the official detour, which takes you down to Davison Freeway, and then back up I-75, or go along the mile roads to get through the area. Yeah. As someone that doesn't live around Metro Detroit, I really don't envy the people who do live in Metro Detroit. I'm sure that all the driving there is very unpleasant. And moving a bit north of the Detroit metro area, we got I-75 here between Clarkston and Grand Blanc. This one's also part of that Rebuilding Michigan project, and this also has its own page. You can see how they're doing, and like they say, it's about a bit over halfway done. So this will be one you want to have on your radar for this year and maybe next year as well. You can just see it like there's like some lane closures and bridge work and ramp closures and whatnot. So it's not really any good alternate way through there. So you probably just have to make do as best you can if you have to do the Flint to Metro Detroit drive. And then moving up into Flint, we got I-475 here, where the southbound is closed, and I forget how long this one's closed for. Yeah, this one's closed for the pretty much the rest of the summer. So if you're going southbound I-475, you will not be able to take it. And then I-475 north, there's a double lane closure, so one lane open. So it's gonna not be the most pleasant if going north through there either. And this one also does have its own page here where you can learn more about the project. And this is part of a larger multi-year project to rebuild pretty much the entire freeway. But so right now, this project's in kind of the early stages. Then moving further north, we got I-75 here at the Zilwaukee Bridge. And right now, southbound is closed. And I think I saw something that said that we're working on northbound as well. So if you have to go through, if you're going up north and you go through Saginaw, you might want to consider taking I-675 instead, just to kind of get around the Zilwaukee Bridge. And then this one's one of the more minor ones on this list, but it's a major, it's a Bay City, so I figured it's worth at least mentioning. And that is the M13 M84 bridge. This one's been closed for a while, and this one's going to be closed until summer of 2027. So you won't be able to use that way anytime soon. It's probably more minor as far as the scope of this video, but I did at least want to mention it because it's a major road and one of the bigger cities in Michigan. And lastly, going up to the UP real quick, did have a couple somewhat minor. First, like there's some lane closures up along I-75 in the UP. So you just want to have that on your radar if you end up ever going up north to Sault Ste. Marie. You just want to have that on your radar that there will be lane closures. And the last one I want to talk about is like some of the work going on here near Marquette. And they got US 41, like there's the bridge that they're working on, it's closed. And it's the UP, so not a lot of good alternative ways. And then these alternative ways also have construction. So that'll be something that you'll want to have on your radar for the summer if you plan to do any traveling around the UP, specifically up towards Marquette. That's pretty much all the major construction projects going on in Michigan this summer that you want to have on your radar. Hopefully, this video helps make your travels easier, especially for Memorial Day if you end up driving instead of flying. And let me know what you think about this type of content. It's very different from the usual dashcam stuff that I post. So let me know what you think. I do enjoy roads. I've always had this kind of like odd fascination with roads and all that. So I know what you think. Maybe I'll talk about like some other roads and whatnot in the future. And I just wanted to say too that I'm almost done going through all my old dashcam videos from the last couple years. So soon the video schedule will go down quite a bit. So you can expect way less frequent uploads here. And it seems like my dashcam drives get more views than like the bad driver clips. So I think I'm going to focus on just like the absolute like craziest moments of bad drivers and not just like, have it be as many as they are. And then just like focus this channel more towards traveling as well and like the dashcam trips. Cause I think those seems like those tend to get more views than the various bad driver clips. So I think I'm going to move this channel in that direction, and there'll be the occasional like crazy thing that happened that's actually like pretty crazy, not just like, oh, this person didn't use their blinker or whatever. Anyways, it's been Jake, and I'll see you in the next video.